Hey everybody, Rob from the Stag and Lantern here. Sorry it's been a while since the last video. We've been really busy getting back up and running. So, what is a micropub and how did I end up opening one? And of course, just as I start filming, there's some sawing going on outside. Great. Really apologise if you've got to put up with that noise and you hear it. We'll see in editing what it comes out like. Well, as you can guess from the name, a micropub is a small pub often located in a converted shopfront. Now, over the last few years, forgetting the whole pandemic thing, micropubs have seen a surge in popularity. They are viewed as an antithesis to the modern pub landscape. They are small, independent and community focused. And micropubs exist to serve as a social hub for the local community and not as a means for large corporations to make money. Micropubs pride themselves on the quality of their drinks, primarily with well-kept real ale poured fresh off the cask. My first experience of a micropub came in 2015 when I took a long weekend trip to Margate, Kent, with my then at the time girlfriend. One evening we were walking along the seafront not too far away from where the hotel was and we came across the two halves. Obviously the first thing I noticed was the size. I'd never even heard of the micropub concept, but here was a small shopfront space that felt like a pub. Secondly was the cellar at the back of the room, which you could see behind the bar through this huge glass window. And then on to the side was the blackboard with all the various ales and ciders available. It was definitely a pub. So we grabbed a beer, sat at a table with some strangers given the small space, and I found out later on, obviously this was a purposeful design choice to get everybody mingling and socialising. The vibe was relaxed, sociable, there were dogs in there, and it was just generally a really pleasant, friendly vibe. Now at this time I'd been homebrewing for a couple of years and always in the back of my mind I had this idea to open a microbrewery. But something stuck with me, this idea of a micropub that could open up anywhere in the space of a shopfront. Cut to me moving to Highams Park in 2016 and pretty much within a few weeks I was falling in love with the area. It didn't take long to realise there was a strong community feel here. From the Highams Park planning group to the local efforts to ensure that all shopfronts remained independent and in keeping with the local area aesthetically. Also, a little quirky thing that Highams Park has is a rail crossing with 3 barriers that come down. And the Highams Park station even has a team of volunteers who look after a little garden that's inside the platform area. And as I was settling into the area, the one thing I thought was perhaps missing was a really nice place to go and have a drink. And as I just said, my dream at this point was to open up a microbrewery, but I started to feel that it was a bit of a saturated market. There were so many more breweries than there were when I first started brewing. And unless I had a ton of cash, which I don't, or was producing absolutely top 1% quality beer, which as nice as I think my homebrew is, yeah, it just was going to be too hard. Now, have you ever thought of a really good idea that you've had in your head for ages, but you just never follow through with it? Then someone else comes along, does that exact same idea, and you're forever kicking yourself that you didn't do it first, just because you didn't have the balls to give it a shot. I didn't want that to happen this time. My girlfriend would say it's because I'm a Taurus, and I do have a stubborn streak, and once I've got an idea in my head, I tend to not let it go. So I bought a few books on business startups, started putting together a business plan, and put together some rough financial estimates. And as I'm going through this process, you're sort of thinking, okay, what can I do today? What's the next step I need to do? And on that subject, one thing I found is sometimes when you've got a huge project that just seems daunting and overwhelming, sometimes it's good to just sort of take a step back, not worry about it too much, and just think of the little things you can do today. Just maybe one thing a day, planting these little seeds. It could be something really simple like finding an email address, sending an email, making a note of something, a few minutes a day. And after a few weeks, it really does start adding up all these things you've managed to get done. And then without realising it, you've got that momentum going. And at some point, whilst it still doesn't feel like it was really happening, I started to realise we were getting closer and closer to this becoming a reality. Now, I don't entirely know how I came to find out about the Little Green Dragon in Winchmore Hill, but I'm fairly sure my first visit was in December 2017-ish, just only a few months after they'd opened up. And I was on the micropub bandwagon and was really excited to go and visit somewhere that's not too far. It was the closest micropub we had to us in Highams Park. And then a few months later, as things started to progress, I reached out to Richard, the owner of the Little Green Dragon, and I guess he's probably had that a lot. And he was really, really kind. He said, come on over, have a chat, have a beer, whatever, answer any questions that he can. An absolutely massive shout out to Rich from the Little Green Dragon. He was an absolute star in giving me loads of advice. So if you're ever around that way, be sure to go check out the Little Green Dragon in Winchmore Hill. So then around late 2018, I started to keep an eye out for commercial spaces that were up for rent around the local area. Some of the things that I considered as to be important for the location of the micropub was obviously footfall, making sure there's quite a bit of traffic, people walking past, and ideally in my head I wanted somewhere that was near a train station so that people coming from other towns can easily get there, get home, and it ensures that when people are commuting back from work, or well, not to work, because that'd be a bit early to start drinking, but coming back from work, that temptation to sort of swing by, have a quick drink and socialise and meet friends was there. I actually found a potential location, had the "For Let" sign out the front, reached out to the estate agents, started that conversation, and of course they asked me if I wanted to put in an offer. And at that point I sort of realised I didn't have any money. Whilst everything on paper was written down and I knew kind of what I was doing, I needed to take a step back and, not reevaluate, but sort of think to myself, am I ready to do this? And I guess, be prepared and then bite that bullet. So had to hold off from that, and it got taken within like a couple of weeks of me not doing anything. It was also the time when I realised that this was a real thing and it was actually going to happen, as long as I actually made it happen. So cut to early 2019, and after some, not real soul searching, but building up that courage, I was ready to do it. While still full of self-doubt and fear, the stronger overriding feeling was to make sure that I didn't miss out on this opportunity and making sure I didn't regret not doing this for the rest of my life. And I began looking for another location. Around March 2019, I got in touch with the previous tenant of the space we're now at. Luckily, all done privately. I put a few messages onto various Facebook groups and communities asking about local area. There was an actual space, also another place in Highams Park that had been closed for a while, and I was trying to get hold of the owner and find out who the landlord was to sort of, start a conversation there. But they reached out to me directly to let me know they were moving out and if I'd be interested in the space. So I went down, looked at it. It was a sports nutrition shop at the time, as you might have seen in the previous video, but taking away all these tubs of protein and whey and shelving and such, the foundations there were perfect for a micropub. It was micro, like super tiny, had a very small space at the front, 2 minutes walk, maybe 3 minutes walk from the station, and it had a really good vibe, and I could tell it was a potential space. Obviously put in the offer, that all went through. Bits I've talked about in the previous video, I'll talk about it more, even if people are interested in boring admin side of stuff. And then I got the keys after about 6 months of making that offer and actually getting it. So that was pretty long-winded. In November 2019, I got the keys, and that's how I ended up with the micropub. Now, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel to let me know that you want me to do more videos like this, and I'll keep doing it. Maybe I'll just keep doing it anyway, even if I get no likes. And of course, please leave any comments below with any questions you've got or any suggestions of things you'd like me to go over. And cheers. Thank you. Bye.